back to the Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I'm going to go straight to my guest, Alan Paine. He's with a great organization called the Rich Club. It's exactly like it sounds, richclub.org. They're phenomenal. We partner with that organization because we want to help others and educate others on the importance of developing your financial dream. You know, your financial dream doesn't happen without planning. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens through careful thought and information and education, which is what Rich Club is all about. richclub.org. Alan, tell us about a little more about Rich Club.
I don't know much more I can add after that great introduction there. So the Rich Club is an organization where we represent people who invest in real estate. And it's a trade association, and we are part of a national group called the National RIA, and we bring in guest speakers. We also host a ton of education. And today, my guest here is Clay Cahoon with Real Acquisitions. Clay, tell us a little bit about Real Acquisitions.
Hey, Alan. Good morning. I'm glad to be here. Well, at Real Acquisitions, what we do, the elevator speech, think of us as a giant database with enormous amounts of information in it that you can use to find your own deals and speak directly to the property sellers. That way there's nobody in between, and you can get the best deals. You can evaluate the deals, see a little title report on the property, see what it might sell or rent for, properly fixed up, things like that. So it's a great place to find and evaluate your deals.
And that's a great introduction for the Real Acquisitions. One of the things you also do through there is you do wholesaling of deals. Can you explain what wholesaling is?
Well, a wholesaler is an investor without any money, basically, or doesn't want to really get involved in being a landlord or managing contractors or things like that. So that's kind of what I like about wholesaling is it's fairly simple. To be a wholesaler, you don't need a lot of cash. You don't need a lot of management skills. And all you really need is a little bit of hustle. So you go out ahead of the crowd, you find what you know is a really good deal, and basically the concept is you just find another investor who's willing to buy the same property that you are, but at a higher price. So if you find a $100,000 house or a house that could be worth $100,000, needs a lot of work, it's pretty beat up, you might be able to get it under contract for $40,000. And you hustle a little bit, you do some networking, put some ads on the internet, and you can find an investor, for example, who's willing to buy the same house in the same condition for $50,000.
Right. And so right now, my question for you is, that's a very tough market right now. And so what's the main tools you guys do to find these properties?
Well, we use Real Acquisitions, but another place to look are people who are behind on their taxes, something like that. A very good strategy that anybody could use, that you could use today, is called driving for dollars. That's where you get in your car. And it works best if you have a spouse or a business partner, something like that. But you go find a neighborhood that you like and you just start driving around. You look for the vacant houses, you look for the garage sales, you look for the houses, the yards all overgrown and things like that. And you send them letters, you knock on the door. If it's vacant house, you probably knock on the doors of the neighbors. You can't be shy as an investor.
Right. Kevin, you got any questions?
Yeah, I do. I do want to wonder, first of all, what's your website for people to get more information?
It's realacquisitions.com.
realacquisitions.com. And then you were talking about the wholesaler. Talk a little bit how, the guy really doesn't have money, but he can make deals happen. What kind of resources or tools does a wholesaler need to bring to this game?
Well, the main skills that you would need to bring are negotiation skills. A little bit of hustle. Like I said, you can't be shy. You have to be okay with knocking on doors and talking to people. Hey, you have a vacant house next door. I'm an investor. I'd be interested in buying the house and fixing it up. Do you happen to know where, the owner is? A lot of times, one of the neighbors almost always knows what happened to that person. But if they don't know, what I've done in the past is I've put a little sign in the yard that says "for sale?" ? And my phone number. So you have to be, you have to have a little gumption, a little hustle there. But you can find the deals by driving for dollars. Very, very powerful way.
Go for it, Alan.
And so that sounds like a real creative way to get people to call you there. one of the neighbors that you didn't talk to will see that and go,
sure.
Hey, Joe, your house is for sale?
Yeah, or what they'll do is you're in the middle of doing that, and a neighbor will come out of the house about 50% of the time. You kind of look over, they're coming out of the house on the cell phone, and they're kind of looking at you, but not trying to know that they're looking at you. Well, who do you think they're talking to on the phone? They're talking to the owner saying, hey, there's some guy putting a sign in your yard.
Yeah, that's very true. And I walked out into a house, and a guy was there was gunshots in the garage door, and the guy was stopping me to find out who I was, and he was telling me about the house, and it had been a crack house.
Nice.
It was nice to know.
But to be a wholesaler, really, you just need you need to be able to knock on doors where you don't know who's there. You have to be, you have to have some pretty good interpersonal skills, but you don't have to have a lot of money.
Right. And then you turn around and you get what's called a buyer's list. What is a buyer's list?
Well, a buyer's list, if you've been wholesaling for a while, you will develop a list of dependable investors who are interested in buying many houses. And, what a lot of these people do is they have a very impressive email list these days. So if they get a property under contract, they can send out a blast to this email list, and many times they can find a buyer. I mean, you don't close the deal in a couple hours, but you can have somebody who's willing to purchase the house and get the paperwork necessary to do so within a few hours.
And so that person goes ahead and closes the deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, as a wholesaler, most of the time, you're not interested in closing on the house. You're interested in finding another person who wants the same house in the same condition, but who's willing to pay more. So you, as the wholesaler, it's not necessary for you to close on the deal. It's not necessary for you to do the repairs. You just pass it along. You got there first. You got it under contract, and you found somebody willing to pay more for the same house. That's
always a good thing. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I do want him to go ahead one more time, give his website, and I do want to mention richclub.org. We're getting near the end and want to make sure we get that in one more time. Your website?
Well, we're at realacquisitions.com, and what we do is help people find investment properties ahead of the crowd and be able to do a lot of due diligence on those properties.
So, Alan, with that, some final thoughts and a final question for our guests.
And a final question is, it sounds like that it's a good place for a person to start.
It's a very good way to start. And you might think it's difficult to sell the property. Most of the time it really isn't, especially these days. You put it out on Craigslist, or you go to one of the Rich Club meetings or something like that, and you can, if it's a good deal these days, especially these days, you can find somebody who's happy to purchase that property.
Right. And one of the great places to go to learn about how to get the skills to become an investor who does wholesale, we come to richclub.org and check our calendar, because we have classes to teach you
especially the
stuff.
Monday night workshops.
Yes, it's a great deal we always do every Monday. So, Kevin?
Rich Club's awesome. I strongly encourage people to get it. It's one of the most finest quality values of education in real estate a person's going to find. So shame on you if you're not checking out that resource, richclub.org. All right, when we come back tomorrow, we're going to have much more for you. Do want to remind you that great content like this interview and much more can be found at our sister news website, usdailyreview.com. That site getting over 1 million hits a month. Make sure while you're there, you get like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. I'm Kevin Price. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you spend it right here on this station.